What's up, guys? Elfis here, and today we're going to be doing another HoN replay analysis. This one is going to be of Copymark. He is going to be playing Ophelia. It's a 1400, although it looks like it, dabbles a little bit in the 13s and 15s there. It's a 1400 normal mode game, though. As usual, Taddy is joining me.
Hi.
And before we start, I just want to say Happy Valentine's Day for everybody. That's when we're recording this. It probably won't be uploaded till tomorrow, but regardless, Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. We're on a bit of a time constraint, so we're going to jump right in. All right, ready?
Yep, sure, go ahead.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Okay, so the person we're watching is Copymark. He's the teal player on the Legion side. He is going to be playing Silhouette. It's a single draft game, so obviously he gets swapped Silhouette, for those of you who aren't watching. So we see an insta-pick Slither, a little bit odd.
Calls solo when he doesn't know if there's going to be a jungler or anything.
Yeah, so if you mean solo mid, I'm very confused with that. Maybe, yeah, he has to be solo mid. There isn't even a jungler. Well, there's Ophelia, actually. Sorry. There's Ophelia, but everybody else isn't even... Oh, I guess we'll see. Blue instantly. Is that a good choice? Okay.
While right-clicking Nighthound.
Okay, so I personally think Nighthound is a really crappy hero, so... That's just me. His ultimate is very easily countered by one item or Pestilence, a hero. Or there's probably a couple other heroes that give sight, but he's the one that comes to mind instantly.
I think Scout is just a stronger version of Nighthound, personally.
Yeah, and even I'm not a huge fan of Scout either. I think he is also fairly easily countered, but I do like Scout better than Nighthound.
His Invis skill does give something other than Invis, though, which is why I think he's superior.
Yeah, the plus 300 attack speed. I think it's 300. It might be 250, but... okay, so we see yellow highlighting Silhouette. We have a Slither pick. Okay, so he changed Nighthound. That's good. Now he changed to Magnus. Much better. So Pharaoh, I would like to see... What I would like to see team pick-wise is Ophelia. I love Ophelia on every team, assuming the person playing them can micro, of course.
Being a 1500 game, it seems unlikely, though.
Yeah, it seems unlikely. So in this game, I'm fine not taking Ophelia. The Armadon pick, I kind of wish I didn't see that, but I would have preferred... Well, you know what, actually? No, because the other pick would have been Chronos, so Armadon's better. Okay, so we have final picks. We have Magnus, Silhouette, nice skin for Silhouette, too. Magnus, Silhouette, Pharaoh, Armadon, Slither, versus Grinex, Geomancer, Nomad, Rally, and Accursed. So I would say by far the Legion has the better team.
Yeah, 5 melee's not great for laning at all.
Very bad. Even Accursed and Grinex, who, even though Accursed is melee, he's like he can't harass, but I mean, he's one of the best lane partners. I love having him anyways. And Grinex, he's got that little jump to and then pull you to him thing.
Yeah. Look at that. It's going to have to be a support Accursed.
Yeah. So what I imagine we're going to be seeing here, and we'll check it out in a second, is we're going to see, hopefully, Pharaoh mid, and then Armadon and Slither together, and Magnus Silhouette.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would like to see. I'm not sure if we're going to see it. And then for the Hellborn team, I imagine probably Nomad mid, or Grinex, but preferably Nomad. Nomad mid, then Rally and Accursed, or maybe Grinex and Accursed, and then the other two would be in the long lane.
I think the best way is Nomad mid, and then Rally, Accursed, and Grinex and Geomancer.
Yeah, that's probably the best way. I guess we'll see how they do it, because, well, okay, so...
Rally, Accursed long lane, I think we'll see, and Geo, Grinex short lane. That's how I would lane it if I had to have that horrible team lineup.
Yeah. All right. I'm changing it back to spectator, by the way, so that I can see the whole game. Okay. So we had it set for Copymark, by the way, so that we could see the single drafts picks, because it won't let you see the picks if you're as a spectator, because technically you're not on either team. But so, anyways, so starting items, we'll go over Silhouettes since that's who we're mostly focusing on first, and we are going to see the lanes that I like to see. Good. Okay. Although actually, I would have been fine doing Magnus Silhouette long lane too, only because they have 5 melee. Like, it really, I think Armadon Slither would have gotten a whole bunch of kills, but regardless, it's fine. So starting item Silhouette, I love him. I love the starting item Silhouette. Totally fine.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say about that. I mean, they're pretty much spot on. 4 minor totems. That's some nice stats. You got the Guardian Ring to make into Ring of the Teacher, and a couple of Runes of the Blight, or Blight Stones as they're now called, for regen. So yeah, that's perfectly good.
Yeah,
and
totally fine.
to be honest, I don't see her really going to be using many of the. Actually, to be honest, since they're melee, I don't think she's going to be taking that much harass. I think she's going to be taking a bit of burst. So maybe I would like to see health potions instead.
Well, I'm fine with the runes.
I don't think it's a big deal.
I'm fine with the runes because she didn't know she was going to be against Geomancer, and actually the Hellborn did lanes opposite of what I would have expected. But but Geomancer, that little dot he can put on you, does do a fairly decent chunk of harass damage for a fairly low mana cost, in all honesty. Yeah. So I mean,
that's actually one of the reasons that I play Geomancer as a suicide laner.
Yeah, and it's AoE damage too. It's not a It's not a single target. I mean, it is a single target. It's around an enemy, but I mean, he could select Magnus or Silhouette and have it going to do damage to either of them if they weren't, intelligent. Okay, so since we can talk about starting items and stuff after when we get a break. But so first off, right off the bat, I've noticed you miss a number of last hits. A couple of them were because you were trying to harass the enemy team. You don't need to harass 2 melee. As long as they're not bothering you, leave them alone. It doesn't matter as long as you're getting last hits.
Yeah.
Especially in this lane, they don't even have a kill lane. They have a cursed in the lane, which pretty much means we're not going to initiate anything. We're going to be sitting back. Now, they could. It's not saying they can't. It's just that's basically what that means when you pick a curse. So again, more harass on them. There you miss another last hit because of it. So your biggest thing so far, don't waste time on harassing unless you have to, all right? I've seen you attack, 5, 6, 7 times or something, and it's cost you maybe 3 last hits, give or take, but, that's a fairly decent amount of gold early on. It's like 140 or something, give or take?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a fairly decent chunk of gold you're missing out on because of that. Now, another thing is that the enemy team did not ward your pull, okay?
Yeah, I was just about to mention that, actually.
Yeah, feel free.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that they didn't ward your pull, and that's something I noticed. So hopefully we'll see Magnus start doing some stacking and pulling to get lane positioning. As you saw, you got a triple archer, which is unfortunate. So you're not getting the best lane positioning here.
Yeah.
In terms of last hitting, I don't think that there's really any advice that I can give other than practice it. It's not something that you can really give advice other than just practice to get better at it.
Well, so I would agree, but because of the hero he's playing, there is a little bit of advice. It's if you got your Relentless Salvo, which you did at this point, if you attack them once or twice before they get low, now granted this will push up your lane, but if you're pulling and denying waves, it'll equal out anyway, so it'll be fine. But if you attack them once or twice before they get low, your Relentless Salvo will make you do more damage on the last hit that actually counts. Yeah. So it'll make last hitting easier, and actually if you'll watch a number of HoNcast or professional games or whatever, a lot of the pros do that. They win last hitting a number of the time because of that. Because Silhouette, her base attack damage is nice, but it's not phenomenal. You know what I mean? It's not like by far the best in the game. So you do have a little bit of competition if you're against a ranged player.
Magnus did pull, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that. So good job by him. I'm actually totally fine with you letting them come down here and fool around with the lane. As long as you're, using the time wisely, getting the last hits, it's totally fine. The only thing is that you need to, and it shouldn't happen because Magnus has his Lava Surge, so there's no reason he should die to these two. But if he does get in danger, you just need to be a little bit map aware that's your cue to come over and help. Your farm is not worth more than his life. So, depends on how much farm you'd miss, but in general. Nice job getting the cannon under the tower. Good job. So here, same thing, harassing. They tower dove, so in this case, yeah, totally fight that. Nice accursed save there. Good job. He would have actually died otherwise. Let's see, your skill leveling. I'm fine with that. Some people level 2 in Salvo by 4 and 2 in Death Lotus. I think it's fine either way. Nice double tap on bottom here. Well, sorry, it wasn't a double tap, you split them up, but you got 2 kills regardless. Very good job chasing, very good job using your skills at the right time, nice job focusing the one that needed to be focused. Team fighting, pretty damn good, I think. Well, we've only seen one little skirmish, but either way, good so far anyways.
Yeah.
You're sitting. I do actually want to comment on this. You're sitting with your Death Lotus on top of the
Yeah.
creeps.
Just about
Bad.
to mention that.
Yeah,
Pushing
yeah.
the lane.
Yeah, you don't do that usually unless you're trying to push it so that then you can go farm the jungle, but it's too early for that. Although you do have a health tube already, so that's pretty good. But and we'll talk about that in a sec because I actually want to talk about that. But you don't want to sit with your Death Lotus on top of the creeps for this reason. You'll see that the lane is very far up now. Now, granted, Magnus can go stack and pull again, and it'll even out. But you don't need to get to this point. It's okay to use your Relentless Salvo to auto attack in and push it a little bit so that you can last hit. But there's no reason to have your Death Lotus sitting on top of the enemy creeps to push the lane because that doesn't actually help you last hit any better. It just pushes the lane up.
Yeah.
It's not a huge deal, especially since you guys are winning the lane and you're against a double melee, and Magnus seems to be doing a decent job of supporting. But it is a little thing. You got the Ring of the Teacher, like that. The health tube, I'm on the fence about it. Health tube first or boots first. I don't see a big difference in this lane. I think in this lane the health tube actually I'm fine with it because Geomancer can harass you. Yeah, it's not a huge deal, but
I don't think it makes a difference either way because obviously with boots you can outrun at least some of the damage from Geo's E.
yeah,
So either way you're still mitigating damage. I don't know. The health tube's fine.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with it.
In general, just in a general lane, if you got a level in your grapple, which you should have, by 5 anyways. If you got a level in your grapple, then I'm totally fine with getting health tube anyways. It's not a huge deal either way, because you have that escape. So some heroes it would make a difference, such as Flint. If you went for like Soul Scream rings before your boots, that's a really big deal because you don't have anything to get away. But Silhouette's not a huge deal.
I don't know why Pharaoh pushed your lane with a soul there. That was a bit of a dick move.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think his plan. I think his plan was to harass them out of the lane, which, to be honest, is impossible with an accursed. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's pretty unlikely that you're gonna harass them down so much that they're gonna leave lane unless there's some big fight or something. Now, accursed, you could harass accursed down. Accursed can't heal himself with Cauterize, which is kind of a big thing to pay attention to. And actually, Pharaoh's down here for a gank, so what I hope we're going to see is an initiation onto Accursed, or if you initiate onto Geomancer, you need to get those mummy walls around him. So that's fine if you initiate.
He needs to initiate on Geo if he does after he uses dig. So if it's Pharaoh, because he can just dig out of the mummy walls.
Yeah, there he goes. Actually, he initiated on him and dig right out. I actually didn't even think about that, but that's a very good point to make, is that he'll just get away.
So if he'd have used the mummy walls and then waited for him to dig and then ulted, that would have made more sense.
Yeah, or I would have preferred to see the ult Hellfire, sorry, and then mummy walls afterwards. Also, I mean, I think that was just a little bit of luck on the Hellborn side, but they came down here to check or gank. So I guess they might have been going for the pull. Actually, I think Magnus was pulling, so that might have been what they were doing. But a little bit of unluck. Maybe if they hadn't noticed him, he would have been able to get it. And actually, I just noticed you miss a couple more last hits. Just because you missed them. There's no reason. So really, like Taddy was saying, to an extent, there's a little bit we can tell you, a little bit of tips with the whole Relentless Salvo and not sitting on them with Death Lotus and things like that. But in general, it just takes practice. And more misses. I mean, there's really not much we could teach you how to last hit. You kind of need to just practice it. I can tell you the best way to learn to last hit is to go into a no stats game, or in this case now we have bots, a bot game, or you could just play by yourself and just go in and try your best in the first 10 minutes to get the maximum number of creep kills, which is 80. There's 80 enemy creeps that come down the lane in the first 10 minutes. So if you've watched any of my videos before, you'll hear me say that 50 per 10 minutes is usually a decent number to get to. That means that's a decent amount. Technically, you can get to 80 though if you get every single one of them, and that's not counting catapults. I'm not sure when the catapults start spawning. Actually, I don't know that minute mark, but it's not a huge deal either way. But so without catapults, you can get 80 in the first 10 minutes. With catapults, it would be more than that. I don't know when they start spawning though. It's not a huge deal though. Just keep that in mind.
Instead of getting Striders there, I think that Magma should have upgraded the courier and bought a ward, since
Yeah.
you don't actually have a ward at the moment. But that's Magnus. It's not really to do with you.
Yeah, although to be fair, Magnus is pretty much being like a human ward over here almost the entire game. Like he's been pretty much sitting on this side of the other side of the trees for the
But yeah, I
vast
mean, you don't have
majority
a
of the
you
time.
don't have a room ward. I guess Pharaoh
Yeah,
can just use
yeah.
his soul.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah,
what I
of course.
normally do if I'm mid without a room ward as Pharaoh.
Of course, you know. But I mean, yes, he should have upgraded courier and then bought a ward. He didn't. I mean, Striders aren't that big of a deal to get this early, unless you're going to start roaming. If he starts roaming and ganks more often, I'm okay with it. Not happy about it, but it's a good. It's not. At least he's making the best of what he does have. So, leveling wise, I like it. Some people. So, I'm talking about leveling skills of silhouette, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I
some
like it.
people.
That's what I would do.
Yeah. So that's how I level Silhouette too. Some people will level in her ultimate. There's a couple reasons why I don't level the ultimate. First of all, because the damage from Death Lotus, plus the passive damage from Death Lotus is just phenomenal. Death Lotus is a great skill. I love it.
Yeah. Especially for farming creep
Oh
camps.
yeah. For farming creep camps, even for getting kills though, it is still just great with the passive damage. There's so much passive damage if you're just sitting on top of them. And actually, in this team fight right here, not really a team fight, but this little gank they attempted, you could have sat on top of the two of them totally fine, as long as they're not focusing you, of course. Now you should turn around. Yeah, I think you stayed a bit too long. So it's not a huge deal, but I mean, those little things. You stayed too long, you chased too long. As soon as you saw Nomad come in, back, I don't know, when you were about over by the outpost, I think, and you saw Nomad come in, that was a bad choice. You should have turned around instantly. The reason for that is because even if you had killed one of them, it was almost guaranteed that Nomad was going to kill you afterwards. So it's not worth it. You, for anybody on their team, is not worth it, okay?
Yeah.
Because you're the hard carry. Your gold is literally the most valuable gold in the game, especially Silhouette. Silhouette's, I mean, debatably, she's one of the hardest carries in the game. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of them up there that are like god tier carries. Silhouette's one. I think maybe Dark Lady's definitely one.
Yeah. Dark Lady, Moon Queen, Draconis.
Yeah, and I would even say
Mage Bane.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a couple of them that even there are other hard carries. There are like different levels of hard carries. Flint is a hard carry. Forsaken can be played as a hard carry. Sandwraith, if you play it right, but they're not as valuable as Silhouette and other hard carries. And the reason for that is just because they're stronger heroes when you get to late game, if they're played correctly, of course. But so anyways, I think we got sidetracked a little bit there because of that fight. But so your skills. So some people will level the ultimate at level 6. There's two reasons I don't do that. First of all, because of the damage from Death Lotus is amazing. But then on top of that, because I can't micro all that well, and it takes a fair amount of micro to micro her ultimate to an extent where it's amazing to get and use effectively.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, for me, the ult is something that I would level when I needed it. So it might be at 6, if I'm getting ganked and I've just hit level 6, or if they're missing when I hit level 6, I'll save the point and see when they reappear on the map and maybe level it if they do come to my lane, and if not, put a level in something else like the salvo.
Yeah. So if you use it correctly, it's essentially, I mean, you could use it in two ways. You could use it offensively, but I think almost everybody uses it defensively. If you use it effectively, it's essentially an instant teleport to wherever you walked your hero to. Now, that could be a number of things, a number of places. The other thing that people do is they will, they'll spawn both of them or whatever, and they'll get you to focus on one, and then they'll swap to the other, and then they'll kill you or something. You could use it offensively in that case, and it works out fine either way, but I just think it's a very hard ultimate to use effectively. Kind of a wasted Slither ultimate there. I'm not sure why she did that, but yeah, it's not a big deal. But so it's a very effective ultimate if you can use it correctly, but especially considering we're in the 1400s, I'd say it's unlikely that you could use it to the fullest extent. Not impossible, but it's certainly not probable, I should say. And Slither is way overstaying her welcome. I'm not sure. God, this is just... And her items. I don't know what... Okay, I don't even... We'll talk about Slither at the end. I don't even know what to say about that. So, let's see. So we'll check... let's check creep score so far. Silhouette, 32 at 15 minutes about. So that's fairly low. You should have had approximately 50 by 10, especially Silhouette.
It was a mistake that he made there. He could have saved Slither if he'd have used his tree grapple as Slither was running away.
I think it wouldn't have been enough either way, but it certainly would have been helpful.
You should have tried,
yeah,
anyway.
Yeah. I think Slither would have died either way. Slither definitely overstayed his welcome. He definitely has bad items, to say the least. His skill leveling is also a little bit odd, but, I mean, we can talk about that at the end. So yes, you should have tried to save Slither. However, he would have probably died either way. That's my personal opinion. I mean, maybe there was something you could have done, but in general, it's not a huge deal. Pharaoh coming down for another gank. I like this. He's waiting for the mummy walls, hopefully. No, he used them too early. Okay. So, and then he missed his ult on top of that. Okay, so Pharaoh, not the best. It's 2 ganks now that he's failed. It's not necessarily his fault, although it was a little bit his fault for sure. Okay, so we have a tree grapple. So I've noticed the 2 times you've used your tree grapple is you're using it primarily for the speed. That's not wrong, but you should keep in mind that it is a movement speed buff as well as a stun and damage. It does damage as well if you pull the tree to them. So,
and also proc salvo.
Yes, and it also procs salvo. Does it proc salvo? I'm not sure. I'm not a silhouette expert. Does it proc salvo both times you use it?
No.
No, only the first or second time?
Yeah, it's either or. You if you use it and then auto attack, it will proc, or if you use it then stun, then auto attack will proc. But if you use it auto attack, then stun, and then use it, it won't proc the second time.
All right. So it doesn't proc twice, but either way, it does buff your salvo, and salvo is amazing. It gives you bonus damage, obviously with your attack stacking, and then on top of that, it's such a huge attack speed buff. Like at level 4, it's 400 for 2 attacks or 4 seconds. Which, okay, 2 attacks, you could say that's not really that big of a deal, but when you think about it, and you need to think about it to get the full extent of it, it's 2 attacks and then some, because it's 2 attacks, but then on top of that, that's 2 more stacks of salvo that you put on the enemy, so that's another additional, assuming you're level 4, of course, additional 24 damage per attack.
He should have stacked that camp there. He was right next to it at 53, and, well, between 53 seconds and a minute, so he could have stacked it any time, really.
Was it the skeleton camp?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of a big deal. I mean, technically, your supports, which in this game I guess is Slither as well as Magnus, of course. They should be stacking them, preferably Slither. Magnus should be out helping teams.
If you're right next to a creep camp at the time when you could stack it, there's no reason to ever not stack it.
So she's running in there. It took her a second to realize, or him a second to realize what was happening. I hope we're going to see a jump. Nice jump. Very good job. Wasn't enough, but it was a nice jump either way. So this would be one of those cases where somebody would say, oh, well, if you had your ultimate, you could have lived from that. Yeah, that's technically true, assuming you used your ultimate correctly. But again, I would say ultimate, what I do is I'll max Salvo and Death Lotus and have 1 in grapple, then I'll grab 2 levels of the ultimate, and then max grapple and pick up ultimate whenever you can, of course. I think that's the way most people level. I haven't watched any, well, sorry, that's not true. I've watched professional games where people play Silhouette, but I haven't paid too much attention to their skill leveling, so I'm not totally sure what they like to do, but...
For me, it is just a case of level when you need it. I would like to see at level 10 and 11 level it to level 2.
Yeah. I do want to say nice job porting, bottom. You saved Magnus as well as got a kill. Good job there. I mean, it was the Hellborn's fault for diving too far, but good job either way. I think what I would have done is use Death Lotus instantly for the bonus attack speed. You waited a little bit. I'm not sure if you waited to ensure that you got the kill, or if you waited because you think you wouldn't need it, maybe, or something along those lines.
Minor thing, when you're farming Steam Boots on agility, agility heroes.
Yes. So we've talked about it before a couple times. I think in one of my games we talked about it. Usually, what you do as Steam Boots, and there are some examples where this isn't the case, but usually you would keep it on your primary stat, which in this case, Silhouette, would be agility, and then when you need to, you would switch it to mana, to intelligence or strength, depending, of course, whenever you needed it. Nice stun onto Accursed. I think it should have been I think Pharaoh should have initiated that and then you stun, but it's not a huge deal either way. Let's see, item-wise. Okay, so we got our Steam Boots. We have 1,700 saved up. So that's kind of
barbed armor first item.
For Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
fine.
Yeah, I would have probably gone for a helm first, but
Yeah,
Barbed armor's not
I
bad.
wouldn't have got it first, but it's all right. I just looked at it. I was did he just use a barbed armor? It's only 20 minutes in.
Okay, so
But
this is a pretty big dive. I think this is too much. I
yeah,
mean, Pharaoh died in the
obviously,
process. You traded Pharaoh for Grinix, so it's not a terrible trade. But let's get that out of the way. The trade is okay. All right, it's not great, but it's okay. And you got the tower, which makes it better. But you didn't need to. You could have just taken the tower and backed out. No, I'm aware of Silhouette that it wasn't your decision to initiate that. It looked like it was Pharaoh's. And actually, I do want to comment. She picked up Blessed Orb.
yeah. I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
It's a very stat inefficient item. You always want to get the sustainer first when you're getting a null stone, which is obviously. I mean, there's no reason you'd be getting anything else with these items. But yeah,
Refreshing stone.
yeah, you want to get the sustainer first. I mean, when you're building a big item with several build-up items, you want to get the build-up items which are going to be most useful. And a Blessed Orb, it's kind of for the money. It's a very stat inefficient item, and I would have much preferred to see the mana tube to complete the sustainer and therefore have the regen which you need to stay in lane and fight and etc.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, look here. You should be stacking this camp. You're going to stack it here.
He stacks the big camp.
Yes. Yeah, he does. Okay.
So that was good. He didn't stack, you know. Well, so two things actually before I talk about stacking. So he didn't stack the little, not a big deal. I never stack yellows past 15 minutes anyway. It's a waste of time really. You know, because the seconds you lose stacking, you could be farming a different camp, and it's just, you know, it's an extra, what is it, 80 gold approximately for killing the yellows. If you stack that, it's no big deal. It doesn't matter. If your supports stack it, of course, you know, you can go get it. But, I mean, I personally wouldn't waste time with it. So two things. First of all, same thing with the Steam Boots. And, I mean, I'm not going to keep mentioning it over and over again. But I'm not sure. I know it's hard to pay attention to. I know it's one of those things that people are like, well, who cares? Not a big deal. It isn't. But essentially, you know, it's like buying an item and not using the ability that comes with it. I do want to say real quick, very nice initiation, very nice portal key.
Magma's got a portal key.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that he's got that,
Very
considering he hasn't
fast.
been farming.
Yeah, pretty fast portal
For a
key.
support Magmus, that is fast.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, I'm not sure the kills or assists he got in that fight. He got 2 kills in that fight right there. He got both of them. But even before that, he was 2, 1, and 6 at, you know, approximately 21 minutes. That's pretty decent as Magnus, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
6 assists on a support is pretty damn good. I mean, when you consider the fact that he only has 19 creep score, the fact that he has a portal key at around, you know, 21 minutes is pretty damn good. So, your Magnus, I like your Magnus so far. I'm not sure I'd say he's MVP yet, but he's certainly a pretty good player. So
Pharaoh's done well. I'm not a fan of Slither, but he is warding, so it's fine.
yeah, I guess that's nice.
not
He's
horrible.
warding. Okay, Slither. I want to talk about Slither at the end. He is just weirding me the hell out right now. I'm looking at his leveling of his skills now. He's just so odd. Okay, so.
Focus on Silhouette.
We'll talk about that at the end. I just don't know. That's just making me laugh. Okay, so you're farming. Okay, I like that you're going to stack this hard camp right here. Yep, you stacked it. Nice job paying attention to that. You didn't kill the big skeleton inside the camp, so that's a good thing, actually. I'm glad that you paid attention to that. So two things. Just on the Nullstone one more time. I know we already talked about the Blessed Orb thing, but not only is the Blessed Orb not the best item to get, but then on top of that, you needed the mana tube. You had like almost no mana for the longest time. And also, I think I'm going crazy. Is this how 1400 games usually are? They warded the pull like at like freaking 17 minutes or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. It looked like they just killed the camp, had a spare ward on them, and just put a ward in there to stop it from respawning. Give Silhouette a bit less farm. It's not horrible, but it's kind of pointless.
I don't totally get it, but hey, it's a 1400 game. I can understand it. So same thing. You're down here farming bot lane. Same thing. You're still sitting with the Death Lotus on top of the enemy creeps. Don't do that, okay? If you're gonna push the lane, that's okay. All right. I'm not saying you shouldn't push the lane, but what I'm saying is that using the Death Lotus is only so I should actually clarify that. I'm fine with you using the Death Lotus to farm, but I think you need to know, so you have your sustainer now. You have the mana regen. Use the Death Lotus. Actually activate it when the creeps are about half. It's a little bit, I think it's a little
Not sure
above
where
half.
he's going right now.
I think he's running to mid to help defend that. He has a
TP'd though.
TP. He has a
He could've
TP, so
TP'd.
yeah, I don't know why he walked it. You're so much better. You could have, here, I'll give it to you in numbers. You could have easily farmed 135 gold down there in the time that it took you to walk, and then you could have TP'd, and it would have been totally fine. You would have farmed more than 135.
There's no reason to leave farm like that when you've got a TP on you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't have a TP on you, which you should anyway, it's a good job that you had one on you anyway. I don't want to take anything away from that. But yeah, there's no reason to leave free farm when you've got the ability to join your team at one of their towers. And if they're not pushing and you don't have to be with them when they're not being aggressive, then there's no reason to ever leave that farm. I mean, someone should have stacked the ancients here as well. All right, close by. But yeah, there's no reason to leave that free farm when you've got it available.
Oh, of course. I do want to actually mention that at this point in the game, based on how the Hellborn's playing, I mean, the score looks about even, 15 to 17, 18 kills now. The Hellborn team is not very good. They've been caught out a number of times. So what I do want to say is that you guys are playing well, not phenomenal, but well. But the Hellborn team is just kind of all over the place, not so good. So you're letting Nomad chase Slither. That's a bad idea. I understand that you turned around to kill Pink. That's fine. But I don't think that was necessary. Your team would have killed him regardless. And then, you get kited by Nomad. So that's a little bit disappointing. Nomad doesn't have a TP, though, so there's no reason he should get out of this. And he's going to walk right past you. A little bit of delayed reaction there. That's kind of disappointing. And it's not huge, but it is a bit of a delayed reaction there. So, same thing as we were saying before. You haven't used your grapple to proc your salvo, okay? So you use Death Lotus, it's fine. But you can use your grapple not only for movement speed, but to proc your attack speed increase too. So feel totally free to do that whenever you feel necessary, as long as your life isn't at risk. Obviously, you would want to use it primarily for an escape, but if your life is not at risk, feel totally free to use it as an offensive ability, essentially. Same thing for the ultimate, it could be used either way. Another thing I want to comment on, you got the Nullstone, decent timing. It wasn't phenomenal, I think it was 24 minutes about that I saw it. That's fine. It's not great. It could have definitely been better if your creep score had been better, but that's okay. Especially for a 1400 game, I think that's fairly reasonable. Let's see. So you got 2 levels in your ultimate at 10 and 11 like I do, so that's fine. What I do want to mention is that you haven't been using it. So if you're not going to use it defensively, which you haven't been needing to or been doing, that's fine. If you don't need it, that's fine. Use it offensively. You can use it to go farm or to travel distance and essentially use it as a TP. You can use it to walk into the jungle while you're team fighting, and then when you guys decide you want to back off the team fight, teleport to your ult and then insta-start farming again.
Yeah, I mean, what a lot of Silhouette players do, and I think what the best use of it is, I mean, you always want to have it off cooldown. I mean, people will use it to, they'll just go and put it in their jungle, and, stack camps with it if they can micro it to do that, and then just go around with their team if their team's being aggressive, and as soon as, you stop pushing or you get the kill, you port back to your illusion and carry on farming, and it's the best way to be useful while still maximizing the amount of farm that you're potentially getting.
Yeah, and on top of that, you have the mana regen to use it. It's fairly costs a lot of mana. It's 150, so it's not cheap, but you have the regen with the Nullstone. Feel free to use it. It's not like you're a mana hungry hero at the moment. Now, of course, if you were spamming Death Lotus as much as I would have liked you to be, to farm, of course, then you would be a little bit. We do have a bit of a team fight here in mid. Okay, so you're a little bit, so because you're outnumbering them and all that, that's okay, and they were running away and dying, that's okay that you went that far up, but in a normal team fight, you usually wouldn't want to be in the middle of the team fight unless you had your ultimate on the outside for you could easily pour it out if you got in danger at all.
Yeah.
So there's a bit with your positioning. We've talked about it before, essentially, and at this point it's not a huge deal because the Hellborn team doesn't really have any initiation. I mean, they have a little bit. They have the Compel from Rally and the Grinnex push, either of which could be used to initiate. But
and Geo as well.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't think about that. Geo has his digs too. And I mean, I guess Nomad could, illusion strike and jump in. So, okay, so...
Right. right there,
Yeah.
when Pharaoh's got them trapped in his mummy walls, you could have got a stun on 3 heroes, or you could have got a stun on 1 hero or 2 heroes. There were several opportunities to use your tree grapple, and you simply didn't use it, and then you missed it as well
Yeah.
afterwards. I mean, that's something I wanted to note before, but Elfis was talking at the time, is that you need to be using your tree grapple more to get the stuns, and I don't really see you using it a whole lot in team fights, if ever. I mean, it's almost like you forget that you have the ability. It's a very strong ability. It is what's the stun duration on it?
I think it's 1.5. Sorry, 2.5 at
Yeah,
level 4.
2.5 second stun. That's really big. Like, that's enough to, and it procs your salvo, so you're gonna do a lot of damage. On top of that, it also does a small amount of magic damage as well, I believe.
It's not that small actually. It's 200. So I
At level 4, yeah, that's pretty
yeah,
good.
of course, yeah. Sorry, at level 1 it is a small. 80 magic damage is essentially, it's like 50 give or take after mitigation and stuff. But
still,
so,
it's a lot more damage that you're just not using. Good
Yeah.
job stacking the ancients, and
Yep.
presumably you're going to go and farm them in a second.
yes, very good job with that. Another thing is that your positioning has been a little bit off a couple of times. Now you
Yeah.
could, such as the way that I did it in that one video with Flint that we actually talked about, and you're free to watch that if you want. I'm not going to bring it up too much, but so essentially you could correct it yourself. You can walk out, and reposition and then turn around and fight. But the other thing you can do, and again, while you're killing these ancients, by the way, you have your grapple to do damage as well as proc salvo, which you aren't using. You use your ultimate to.
It doesn't. The actual magic damage doesn't work on creeps.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Okay, well I stand corrected then. But regardless, it would still proc salvo. So.
Yeah, it does.
So that's true. You use your ultimate to, I'm assuming, proc salvo, and then you're going to walk it down here while you regen. That's fine. Totally fine with that. But so, like I was saying, you could walk out and reposition yourself on your own, or you can use tree grapple, and you can jump to the place you want to be. You can reposition yourself using an offensive ability, essentially. It'll do damage if you, of course, sorry, if you pull yourself through the enemy. So Grinek's way out of position here. That could have been a free kill, and still might be, actually. I'm not sure. I guess we'll see. So your positioning in the fight, you're a little bit ahead of your team. You usually want to be a little bit behind your team as the carry, especially since your ultimate is on cooldown now.
And you've got a portal key. You can afford to be right at the back.
Yeah.
Using that.
So feel free to stay as far out. And in this case, again, because they don't have super good initiation, it's not as big of a deal that you stay far out of initiation range and you can come in when you need to. So the team should not allow.
Or you can initiate as well.
Yeah,
you can actually initiate fairly well with Silhouette. There was another small point that I wanted to make about the farming. What the hell is Grinex doing?
Yeah, he's kind of all over the place this game. He's not very good.
Yeah. But yeah, another small point I wanted to make when you're farming. Hang on, I'll mention it after this team fight.
All right. So that was actually a fairly decent team fight. I mean, nobody died, obviously. But you guys, I mean, you shouldn't have let Grinix be that aggressive to begin with. It could have been a fairly free kill had, Pharaoh ulted and walled and all that shenanigans on him. But then on top of that, your positioning was okay. Not phenomenal, but okay. I think you could have been a little farther up, actually, because they were kind of running away. They were on the defensive. So it's a little bit give and take. You kind of need to know the right time to be offensive, to be defensive, and your positioning changes depending on what you're doing, whether you guys are initiating, whether you're not initiating, whether you're turtling, whether you're pushing, whether you're doing Kongor, whether you're doing XYZ. It's almost impossible for me to list every case where you should be and when you... Actually, I would say it is impossible. It changes instantaneously. Every second of the game it changes.
Sorry.
Nice job. I just wanted to say nice job stacking these real quick.
Yeah. The other thing that I was going to mention is don't be afraid to, if an enemy's getting away, to guess with your Q. It's a short cooldown, and if you're not using it anyway, you might as well just try and guess because you might get lucky and hit them. Like Grinax, you would have killed in that situation when he was running away in Viz if you'd have got lucky and hit it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to just guess it. It's not a big deal if you miss it. It's not like a big ult that you're going to be wasting.
Yeah. The other thing is, and this works phenomenally in 1500 and below games, and even in 1600 and below games. Once you get like 1600, 1650 plus, it stops working as effectively. But like he was saying, you can initiate. So what you can do is you can pop your ultimate, then portal key in, blast your Death Lotus, True Grapple, whatever, just so they know it's, the real you and blah, blah, blah. They go to blow ultimates on you, and you teleport out instantly. They waste ultimates, especially if they have key ultimates, such as a Magnus or something along those lines. They waste ultimates, and then on top of that, you have follow-up initiation with Pharaoh. Pharaoh can actually initiate well. So, not that Silhouette can't, but so you can feel free, and I can almost guarantee you it would work in these 1400 games where they would probably blow very necessary skills on you. This team fight, a little bit odd. You guys kind of chased too far, I think. Nice tree grapple. You did use it there, so that's good. I actually would have preferred you use it to pull yourself to the trees rather than the tree to you, but that's okay. I think you would have died either way, because, we're talking about a cursed here. He's got that movement speed slow as long as he's attacking you, so. So a little bit of a blunder with that team fight. You guys, I didn't actually catch the very beginning of it. I'm not sure if it was actually even a good initiation. I don't know, Taddy, did you catch it?
I did. It was an initiation by Pharaoh. Pharaoh hook onto, I can't remember which hero it was now, but it was followed up by Silhouette with a tree grapple and then a portal key to try and land the stun off the tree grapple PK combination. You actually missed the stun on Geo, and that could have potentially been a kill, and actually missed the Death Lotus as well. So just keeping an eye on that. That's just practicing the skills and making sure you're doing them effectively. It's not really something that we can teach you, but yeah, it was a good idea, and that you have got the idea right with how to use a PK on Silhouette. Using your W on a tree, PKing in, then pulling the tree to you to set up a stun and proccing and then using the Q and then proccing again and so forth. But yeah, as was mentioned before, it is a good idea to use your ult first outside the team fight. Use your tree grapple, jump in, stun them with the tree grapple, get the salvo procs, use the Q, get the salvo procs, and then port out, and then throw in auto attacks and wait for cooldowns from the edge of the fight. And that's how you want to be positioning yourself and initiating every fight with Silhouette.
Oh, of course. I do actually want to note, and you're using your skills fairly well, all things considered, fairly well.
Got the right idea, missing it a bit more than you should, but the idea is correct.
Yeah, fairly well, but you're just kind of not grasping the concept of Silhouette, really. And the concept of Silhouette that makes her different than other ranged carries is the ultimate, really. That's what makes her different. I mean, her other abilities, sure, she's got the attack speed increase, she's got the nuke, she's got that little grapple, which is fairly different from other carries too. So I don't want to demean the hero by any means. But what really differentiates her from Flint, from Forsaken, from Draconis, for example, is the fact that she can essentially mess up. She can make mistakes. She can be in the middle of fights, which isn't necessarily a mistake as Silhouette, but as normal heroes it would be. She can be in the middle of the fights, blasting Death Lotus, throwing grapples all around, proccing salvo and just stacking up on anybody she wants to, and then she can save herself. It's like a get out of jail free card. So this fight that's happening now shouldn't have happened. Nice tree grapple, actually. I do want to say that. Very good tree grapple. They kind of didn't plan ahead, they being the Hellborn team. They kind of initiated onto you guys fairly poorly. The PK was fairly nice, I guess. I don't think it was necessary. I would have saved it probably, but it's totally fine either way. You guys are kind of just ignoring Grinx. You're getting way too tunnel visioned on one hero. Way too tunnel visioned on one hero. So Grinx just literally...
And it's rally, and he's used... Oh no, he hasn't used his ult, okay. It's not as bad then.
Okay, so you literally just let Grinx, and you being the whole team, not just you by any means. I don't want to, make it seem like you're the only bad player on the team that, well, not that anybody's a bad player, but the only player on the team that wasn't doing the right thing. It's just nobody focused Grinx. It took forever, and it's not like he was invisible or anything, because I know Grinx does have the ability to do that. He was literally just auto-attacking you, and you guys got way too tunnel visioned.
And you didn't utilize your ultimate, and if you had utilized the ult correctly, you would have easily survived and maybe even got a turnaround kill. Another thing I want to mention about the ultimate, it's not so relevant against this team because of, they don't really have anything that you can disjoint. I mean, they're all melee, so you can't even disjoint auto attacks. But it does disjoint on both the original use, so you've got a projectile coming at you, you press R, you split in two, and it disjoints. So say a Hammerstorm stun is coming at you, you press R, it disjoints. And then again, it disjoints if you're targeted again and you swap back to your illusion, it will again disjoint the attack. So it actually gives you 2 disjoints. That's another way that you can utilize that effectively. That's just a sort of an extra bit of information. It's not really relevant in this game.
Yeah, but well, not normal, in games against other heroes, it can be crucial. And I'll give you the primary example because I love this hero.
Yeah.
You guys all know that Flint. It would disjoint his ultimate. His ultimate is a projectile, and you have a lot of time, assuming you're paying attention, I guess. You have a lot of time to notice it coming too, to disjoint it. So,
Yeah.
and then the other big one, which he's already mentioned, is the Hammerstorm stun. Really big key skill that can be disjointed as well. Obviously not. I don't think. Well, I guess it's debatable whether it's as big as a Flint ult or not, but kind of depends on the situation. Okay, your items. I love them. I love every one of them. You're going for what appears to be a Geosbane, even if it's not a Geosbane, even if it's a Frostburn. I like Geosbane better, but even if it's a Frostburn, I'm okay with it.
I prefer to see Geos and Shieldbreaker.
Yeah.
And a Shrunken if necessary. It's not necessary in this game. I mean, the only things that can really lock you down, which is Shrunken is going to prevent, are the Geomancer abilities and the Rally Stun.
Yeah.
And the Rally W, but you don't really need to worry about that too much. Because obviously Nomad's ult is superior magic, his rest of his skills are physical, all of Grinex's skills are physical. Rally's stun is physical damage, so it wouldn't mitigate that, but it would mitigate the stun because it is magically applied, I do believe.
You might be wrong about that. I think it might be a physical stun, but I could be mistaken. So
I thought that as well. I believe someone corrected me about that on the forums. I can't remember exactly, but I'm fairly confident that it doesn't work through Shrunken Head. The actual stun, the damage will still apply because it's physical damage.
And then of course another big skill, Rally's ultimate is all physical, so
yeah,
it wouldn't mitigate that. What I wouldn't mind seeing, and so like he was saying, you don't need a Shrunken for the first reason being because they don't have a lot of magic, but also being because even if they were to attempt to lock you down or something, you have your ultimate. It's, like I said, it's a get out of jail free card. And an Nullstone, yeah, on top of that.
And a portal key.
Yeah, well,
what's going to be a Geos as well, presumably.
Yeah, Geos. I mean, literally, you have so much survivability. So this team fight right here, so bad. Your ultimate, see, had you used the ultimate before the fight instead of right now, you could have poured it out to it and saved yourself. Not huge, I guess, even if it was just you and Magnus. I don't know if you would have even been able to defend it, but I imagine we're going to see a concede here from you guys. Oh, sorry, that's it. Yeah, so we did see a concede. That's GG.
I think that was a premature concede, to be honest.
I would agree.
I don't think that you were going to definitely lose that. I think there was a lot of fight still left in that game. I think that was definitely a premature concede.
Oh, of course. I think you guys gave up too early, especially when you take into account, and this isn't phenomenal, so don't get me wrong in the sense that like your carry is out of control, but you have 275 GPM. That's not bad GPM by any means. You can certainly come back from a team when you have Silhouette with just a little under 300 GPM. Now, I mean, when you look at the other team's carries, I mean, the carries being, of course, Nomad and debatably Grinex and Rally, I guess, too.
I wouldn't really consider Rally as a carry.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, but, some people, I guess, I don't know, just for argument's sake. But you beat all of them except for Nomad. So Nomad just barely beats you by about, 25 gold per minute. Yeah, that's not phenomenal. 25 gold per minute? Who cares?
I mean, 276 gold per minute on a carry is kind of bad, but you do have the farming tools available to increase your gold per minute. You have decent team fight, so as long as you can, turtle effectively, then you're going to be all right. Not only that, but you do have far superior late game to them.
Oh, of course. Plus, and you noticed it a couple times, if you get a Pharaoh initiation and then a follow-up Magnus ult, that's a one team fight almost. It would be near impossible to lose that team fight.
One person on the other team got vestments, Geomancer. One person.
Yeah, so, I mean, even though you guys don't have a super crazy magic damage team, Slither and Magnus, instantly enough to get Mystic Vestments. Instantly. Even just Magnus, I think, would be enough to get Mystic Vestments, but, I mean, some people might be on the fence about that.
Even, to be honest, everyone except Armadon puts out a decent amount of magic damage. I mean, the Q and the W from Silhouette does do a pretty decent amount of magic damage. It would have been worth getting on every single hero. Oh, sorry, I stand corrected. Rally got Earthshaman's headdress as well.
Okay, so he should have built that into a barrier idol. He might have been working on it. I'm not sure. But so first of all, I want to go ahead and say Slither is probably the reason you lost this game. Not guaranteed. Probably. Armadon
Um,
also did quite poorly.
Armadon did poorly.
Yeah,
His item build, he was going for barbed armor, which is a horrible item on Armadon,
yeah.
for reasons I'll explain in a minute. But he didn't farm well, and he died really often. He probably thought that he was a lot more tanky than he was. As a lot of people make that mistake playing Armadon in that bracket.
Oh yeah.
They immediately think going into the game, oh, I'm Armadon, I'm unkillable. It's not the case. Actually, at the start, he's pretty easy to kill with a coordinated gank.
Yeah, he is, but he is still one of, if not the tankiest hero in the game. So
Yeah,
he's still killable by all means. But once you get to like if you can get a decently early helm or even just an on-time helm, you're pretty damn like at the time you get the helm. At that point, I'd say he's nearly unkillable. It would take some very major mistakes to die, like at the point where you just get the helm, because presumably that would be something along the lines of somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes or earlier if you're a better player. Um,
yeah.
at
Let's
that point, it's they need a lot of damage to kill you.
let's go through player by player so we don't get sidetracked talking about little things and this because we do kind of tend to do that when
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
doing
true.
the
I do want to
analysis
just
at the end.
quickly summarize Silhouette. So the things you can work on Silhouette. First of all, last hitting. You missed a bunch of last hits, A, because you were trying to harass, which is unnecessary, against a two-person melee, double melee lane. Now, if it was, for example, a double range lane and they were counter-harassing you, it may have been a slightly different story. It kind of depends on the game and the heroes you're playing against and things of that nature. Essentially, though, farm beats everything else. Anything else you could be doing, really, especially early game, but I mean, late game, it's a little bit different. But especially, at least in the first 20 minutes, farm pretty much overpowers anything else you could possibly be doing, unless that would net you kills that would, make up for not farming. Okay, if for example you're just defending a tower, though, don't bother until they're tower diving or something like that. That's not your job. Okay. So last hits. So you need to work on that, and again, maybe just try a practice game if you want to practice it, or you can just play some games and eventually you'll get the hang of it. That's how a lot of people do it. It takes time, but sooner or later, pretty much everybody figures out how to last hit decently, at least. Not that you're bad at last hitting by any means. It wasn't horrible. It just wasn't where it should be, especially as Silhouette.
Yeah.
Other than that, Ultimate, you really weren't using it to its fullest extent, and I'm not criticizing you too much because I know it is one of the harder ultimates to utilize if you don't
Yeah.
have, you need micro ability to do
Yeah.
it. It's
Actually, just on a sub point to that, you're building a Geoman's Vein. What I would suggest, if you're not very good at micro, you need to work on micro in the ultimate, and getting another item which requires more micro is probably not going to be the best idea. Go for a shield breaker instead until you've sort of mastered the micro in behind the ultimate at least, because a shield breaker is just as strong of an item in my opinion on Silhouette. I mean, I would probably get both, but the order kind of depends. But don't go for the geos straight away if you're not confident in your micro. I would go for a shield breaker, just straight damage. It's just an easier sort of route to go.
Yeah. The other thing is, in a normal game, after Nullstone PK, usually probably Shrunken Head would be your next item.
Yeah.
Obviously, in this game, that's not
Or
the
even
case.
after Nullstone if they
Yeah.
have a lot of CC and magic damage.
Yeah, of course. So in this game, that's not the case. So I understand that. I'm not sure if you realize that this game was not the case, or if you just don't get Shrunken Head on him. So I just wanted to clarify that real quick. Not
Shrunken
to-
Head wouldn't have been bad this game, it just wouldn't have been necessary.
It wouldn't have been as good as other items, for example.
Yeah.
I don't want to call you out and say you're a bad player, you didn't realize it, but if you didn't realize it, that's the case. Other than that, your items are totally fine. Love the order, love the items, all said. The only thing you could change with your items is the use of your steam boots. Just pay attention to it a little bit, or even if you're not going to pay attention to it, I'll tell you what. Even if you just can't think about it throughout the game, just leave it on your primary stat. I think that would be the best choice. Now, obviously, you should be changing it to strength and intelligence when needed, but if you honestly just can't think about it, just buy it and instantly change it to your primary stat, and then just don't worry about it if you can't think about it. So it's certainly not something you should think about more than last hitting or thinking about more than positioning or something like that. It's one of those little things that does benefit, though. Next, your creep score. We talked about how you could have improved creep in the lane. You could have improved creep significantly by using your ultimate, and you could have also improved it by using Death Lotus more often. Now, another thing is you delayed the mana part of the sustainer. the reason there's obviously the mana regen alone is awesome, and the plus 10 damage from the sustainer is
And it
awesome
doesn't
as
take
well.
up another item slot.
Yeah, and it doesn't take up another item slot, very key as well. And of course, it's just we've already talked about it, but Blessed Orb just isn't really that good of an item for its cost, of course. 10 stats and everything, fine, but for its cost, not so much. But so on top of the fact that it gives you the 10 damage, which increases your farm, on top of the fact that it doesn't cost another item slot, which potentially is if you have a full item slot or something as well is good. But then on top of that, it gives you the mana regen to spam your Death Lotus, to proc salvo on your abilities, and to increase your farm exponentially, really. Because without that, you can't really spam Death Lotus. She's a little bit mana hungry to an extent. I mean, not as much so as other heroes, but still a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think you're at 40 minutes. So as Silhouette at 40 minutes, well, technically 41 minutes, but I'm just going to round 40 minutes at Silhouette. You should have probably had something around 250 creep score, give or take. A little bit lower than that is fine. Anything above 200 is okay, but as Silhouette, because you have the ability to get such good farm with Death Lotus and your ultimate, of course, 250.
And you can stack for yourself with your ult as well. So you don't need, if it's a pub game like that was, you don't need someone running around stacking for you and to get high GPM.
Yeah, it's like for example on Malakin or a couple other heroes, you get a Whispering Helm. You can use the Whispering Helm to stack Ancients so that your team doesn't have to do it.
Exactly. Or if which we do in my clan is we actually share control of the minion with our support player.
Yeah, you could do that too. So then you don't even have to worry about it. But in a pub game, if you don't know people, you can do it yourself. It doesn't take that much intelligence or micro. Just pay attention to the clock. And, Taddy can tell you I suck at it for most. Every now and then, it depends on the game. Some games I'm good at it. Some games I'm bad at it. I'm just not paying attention. But if you're paying attention, 53 seconds, you send the creep in, attack them, pull them out, stacks.
Yeah. And another thing to increase your farm, kill Ancients. I saw you kill Ancients once in that game. Triple stacked Ancients with a Dragon Camp will give you 800 gold in one go, and you can kill it very quickly with a hero like Silhouette, or several other of the hard carries, range carries like Draconis and Moon Queen can also take them very quickly. And there's no reason to not stack and kill Ancients.
Yeah. And also, even if nobody's stacking, even if you can't stack, just killing Ancients alone is better than any other of the other camps. I think it's about 290 gold, give or take 300 gold, or maybe a little less than that. But still,
Dragons is a bit more than 300.
Yeah, so it's still better than any other camp, even without the stack. The stack makes it even that much more better, but even without the stack, ignoring everything else, it's still a better camp. Other than that, your positioning, we already talked about the ultimate. If you use the ultimate a little more effectively, your positioning was okay as Silhouette. Normal, ranged carry, not so much, but if you had been using your ultimate, the positioning is totally fine. You understand the concept of the portal key with the grapple kind of combo, the portal key initiation combo, getting in there, blasting Death Lotus, and then getting out is something you kind of weren't really grasping because of the lack of the ultimate use. What I would actually recommend, in all honesty, is to play an easier ranged carry. If you want to learn Silhouette, then you need to micro. There's no way around it, really. Yeah. It's like, Wild Soul, Tremble, Ophelia. You can't play these heroes. They're really strong heroes, but you can't play them if you can't micro.
Yeah. I mean, don't get us wrong. Considering, I wasn't expecting a lot considering the rating that you're at, but you understand the hero. You didn't do anything particularly wrong. It just needs, everything that you do just needs polishing.
Yeah.
And some bits more than others, but it just, you get the concept. You don't play badly. It's just general game sense and general utilizing the skills. And it is a difficult hero to play, so don't get dissuaded from it. I mean, because you are doing it decently well, but you need to there's pretty much everything you just need to improve on. There's nothing that you're doing horribly wrong or anything that you need to completely not do or something that you're completely missing. It's just everything that you are doing, you need to do better.
Yeah. The other thing is, I think the reason you're held back below the 1500s is creep score, because your team fighting's okay, fairly decent actually. I mean, your lack of the ultimate isn't a huge deal actually. You can play the hero. The hero's still strong, even if you don't use the ultimate to its fullest extent. Obviously, you'd be better off picking, Dragon or somebody else if you can't. But even without using the ultimate, it's fine. But if you had, imagine you had another 100 creep kills on top of that. You'd have your items that much quicker. You'd have more items. You'd have a Geos for sure, I think. You'd have, or if not Geos completed, you'd be very close to it, but I think you would actually have the Geos. Um,
Yeah.
if you had the right creep score that you should, you'd be easily in the 1500s, I think. You could have easily solo carried this game. The Hellborn team was fairly bad for the most part. Um, but
Yeah.
so we talked about that mostly. I think that's everything there is to say. Other than that, you played fairly well. You didn't have a TP at the end. I saw you with a TP once early on. It's good that you had a TP. Again, you didn't use it to. You kind of walked instead, which isn't a huge deal, but I mean that's the point of the TP.
It's wasting time when you could be
Yeah,
farming and still get there in a timely manner.
yeah. And then, so I don't see you with a TP at the end. I'm not sure if you just recently used one. I wasn't actually paying attention to how often you had a TP. But if you didn't have a TP for the majority of the game, on Silhouette, if you're using the ultimate, it's not as big of a deal. But in general, just carry a TP any time past, even as a carry, any time past 15 minutes, there's no excuse. Even before that, though, you should probably have a TP.
Especially with a carry like Silhouette who can actually do stuff early game,
Oh, yeah.
especially, if turning around ganks and stuff like that, it is always good to do. The main thing that you need to do is, if you want to keep playing Silhouette, is work out how to use the ultimate effectively, because Silhouette goes from being as good a carry as any to being ridiculously overpowered with that ultimate.
Oh, yeah. That's what makes her god tier. Without that, she's an okay carry, but nothing phenomenal, really. That's what makes her top tier, because you can use that as a get out of jail free card, really.
I mean, I've watched a competitive game where, in fact, a lot of competitive players do this. They, just for a team fight, they hide their illusion nearby. The player playing Silhouette, who I believe in the game that I'm thinking of that I watched yesterday was Slicks. He went in, used all his stuff, got a kill or two. He then got focused down, died, bought back, ported to his illusion, and was straight back in the fight on the other side of the map.
Oh, you know what?
It's completely broken.
The illusion doesn't disappear if you die?
Yep, that's
Okay.
correct.
All right. See,
You
I didn't
can
know
fly
that. See,
back and port to it.
yeah, these are the little things you pick up as a player who plays these heroes as main. I actually was unaware of that. In my mind, I would think it would die because, like, Wild Soul's bear dies if he dies, but I guess technically it's not a pet. It's like an illusion. An illusion wouldn't die if you die, so it makes sense.
It
But
should, though. That's so overpowered.
yeah, I think that
So
probably,
broken.
yeah, that I would think would be kind of like Boo Boo in that sense, that it should die when you die. But hey, S2 thinks it's fair, I guess. What do I know? Okay, so those are the mistakes. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know. We're going to move on to the general thing. First of all, just so we don't waste time on creep score, I just want to mention that everybody in the game, with the only exception being Magnus, I would like him to be a little higher, but he was playing primarily a support role, so I'm fine with his CK, although at a 40-minute game, I would like to see somewhere between 75 and 120 on a support.
Slither's fine for his support role, actually. His creep score's fine.
Yeah, but he wasn't... Well, also yes, but he wasn't playing like true support. I mean, he picked up 2
Yeah.
Soul Scream rings, so you don't do that on a support really. But so we'll get to his items in a sec. So we're just gonna go down the list, skipping Silhouette, of course. Magnus items are fine, except for you went for Staff of Master.
Ooh.
That doesn't make any sense. Obviously, I don't main Magnus, but I assume it at least buffs your ultimate.
It does. It's just get a Hellflower
Yeah.
or get a Soul's Bulwark if no one else is going to get it into a demonic, or get anything but a staff.
Yeah. So as a support, you essentially want to assist your team. Hellflower. Or sorry.
Tablet, Sheepstick,
Yeah.
Cyclone.
CC, crowd control items are the key to supporting, really. Now, a staff would help your team, I guess, with the ultimate, but certainly not as much as other items. So, other than that, though, Portal Key, you got a fairly decently timed Portal Key. Strider's good item choice. I'm fine with Phase Boots, too, either or Ghost Marchers, sorry.
or Steam Boots if you're farming.
Yeah, if you're farming. In this case, as a support, I wouldn't get Steam Boots, but
Yeah,
if
I'd
you're
get
playing...
Ghost Marchers.
Yeah, if you're playing Farm Magnus, then sure. And then, the Blood Chalice, of course, totally fine. Let's see, Pharaoh. So, Barb
I
Armor
like
first. It. Yeah, so I would say yes, I like it, and I even like the Void Talisman.
Yeah, they have a lot of physical.
Yeah, but I like the Void Talisman only on a normal tank. I wouldn't get that as like my, out of those 3 items, I wouldn't get that as a normal tank who doesn't have any passive abilities. So Pharaoh has Hellfire. Hellfire is passive once you activate it, of course. Void Talisman, for those of you who don't know, you can't activate abilities while you're under Void Talisman. it makes you immune to physical damage, but it makes you. I mean, you can move, but you can't use any
Uh,
abilities. You can't attack.
no, that's not right. You can use skills, but you can't attack. You're disarmed. You're
Um.
not silenced.
Oh, I'm sorry. I swear to God, it would. I'm almost positive that you didn't used to be able to do that. Maybe I'm wrong then. Maybe they never changed it. Maybe I'm just stupid. Okay, so I stand corrected. Either way, though, my argument still applies on heroes that have passive abilities, essentially. Uh, Now, don't get me wrong. You can use it on heroes that don't have passive abilities. I just think it's more effective on a hero such as Pharaoh that can run in, immune to physical damage, and his Hellfire is proccing all over the place on people. But apparently, you can use skills, so I stand corrected. In which case, either way, though, I still wouldn't get it on a hero like, let's see here, a tank hero's initiator. So like Devourer, I may or may not get it on him. Against this team, I would probably. Maybe not as my third item though, so I may get something else instead. Either way, though, the rest of his items totally fine. The Neophytes book, I'm
Puzzle box.
yeah,
And that would have. I love that if that's what he was going for.
that's what I'm guessing.
Excellent item on Pharaoh.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing that was for. Assuming he can micro it okay. If he can't micro it okay, I would say avoid the puzzle box. But I guess
Go for Hellflower instead.
yeah, Hellflower probably. I hope that's not for a Staff of the Master. If it is, I'm disappointed, Pharaoh. But
It's not bad on Pharaoh, but I'd get it last
Yeah.
item if you're going to get it.
I wouldn't even get it. But again, it's not terrible. You could get worse items. But so yeah, if that's for a Staff of the Master, a little bit disappointed. If it's for Puzzle Box, cool. Assuming you can micro it at least adequately.
Generally, I like the items. I wouldn't have got Ghost Marchers going mid with Pharaoh, though. I would have got Steam Boots for the boot toggling and.
Yeah, but I'm
It's
okay.
preference.
I'm okay
it's,
with Ghost
It's
Marchers.
fine, yeah. It's really personal preference.
Okay,
Even
Armadon.
Plated Greaves against that team would have been okay.
Yeah, Plated Greaves would have been fine too. Armadon, your items are okay. So you got. I would like Steam Boots as opposed to Ghost Marchers, but I'm fine with Ghost Marchers too. The ring, totally fine. I love the ring pickup on Armadon. The helm,
of course.
yeah, love the helm on Armadon too. So then we kind of branch off. You got what appears to be going for.
Barbed armor.
Yeah,
for sure.
I guess barbed armor. I would have liked to see a Soul's Bulwark, but especially since you aren't really doing that good of a job tanking, you're getting under-leveled, not doing all that well. Supporting your team would have been better. A Soul's Bulwark would have been nice, especially since you didn't have one.
I will actually say there's a big reason why barbed armor is a horrible item on Armadon. There's two reasons. First of all, Armadon shouldn't be getting focused. I mean,
you know what? Does it? I just have a question real quick. Does it proc the armor after mitigation or?
it's post mitigation. That's why it's a bad
So,
item.
there you go.
It's even a bad item on Legionnaire unless you go raw HP with no armor or magic armor. But you get so much armor from your taunt, it's still a bad item on him.
Okay.
But on a hero with a lot of damage mitigation, such as Armadon and Legionnaire, who I see people in lower brackets often build barbed armor on, because it works on post mitigation damage. You're not reflecting almost any damage back onto them, and the stats it gives you are not that great. A little bit of damage, a little bit of armor, and a little bit of int. It's not a great item. It's a good item on someone, for example, like Amun-Ra, who you build a lot of HP, but he actually has quite low armor. So until you start building armor, it's quite good because you're still reflecting a lot of damage or still being tanky from the HP that you build. But it's because it works on post mitigation damage. Bad item on Armadon, bad item on Legionnaire.
Okay, so that's I didn't know that before the fight. I don't main tanks and initiators, but apparently that's true. I'll take his word for it because we don't have the time to check it right now. But if anybody has anything to say about that, feel free. We'll look at it. So in that case, on Armadon alone, it would be a bad item. But then on top of that, even if that was a different tank, for example, who was doing poorly and all that, Soul's Bulwark still would have been better, I think.
Yeah.
Especially since you didn't have one. If you already had one, it's a slightly different story, but you didn't. So, other than that, though, items are fine. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I don't know how he was dying so much or anything like that, so I'm not going to comment on that. But that's way too many deaths for an Armadon to have. That is a ridiculously high amount of deaths for Armadon.
His creep farm was also horrible.
Yeah, everything about these two, your yellow and orange, were by far the worst two players on the team. Not to be mean to you guys if you end up watching this, but sorry, it's just pay attention to our advice. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a little better. Okay, Slither items. So you started out going like not support. First of all, I want to talk. You got at least one ring. I believe you got 2 rings before you completed your boots, and I think you even got the first ring before even getting your boots. No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, on Silhouette, we were okay with the life tube first because she has the grapple. You don't have anything on Slither, nothing.
I mean,
You're an innately slow hero on top of that, by the way.
if I saw red boots and then the Soul Scream ring, I think, oh, okay, that's fine. He's getting a bit of stats now to help him survive, and then he's going to get an Energizer, which is good.
Yeah.
But then you got 2 Soul Scream rings and didn't build them into anything.
So I would have actually liked to see a Fortified Bracer instead of the first Soul Scream ring, assuming you're going to be playing a more supporty role, which you should have been in this game.
Yeah.
So that's what I would have liked prior. But just assuming you got red boots and then 1 Soul Scream ring, fine. The second Soul Scream ring is overkill as a support, and it looks like, by the way, that you're not really trying to play support this game, which is a little bit disappointing, but not surprising for the 1400s. So you got 2 rings, then into a helm. I like helm on Slither, fine with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it's nothing against that. And then you got some wards. I want to emphasize that, some. There was a lot of time in the game where you guys had none or next to no vision on the map. So you needed more wards. Now, whether it was Slither that should be getting them, because, if he should have been, but if he was going to be a jerk about it, Magnus spent a lot on a Staff of the Master. You could have been helping a little bit, Magnus. Even Armadon, considering how poorly he was doing. Wards. You need wards. They're worth far more than 100 gold. I don't think anybody could dispute that.
Honestly, if I had a Magnus on my team, I would rather him get 42 wards than a Staff of the Master.
Is that how much a Staff of the Master costs? 4,200?
Yeah.
I thought it was a little more than that, but okay. So 42 wards, assuming the game goes that long, that's a lot of wards. So 42 wards over the Staff of the Master. Anything pretty much is better than Staff of the Master, assuming, they're even in the right ballpark of the item range, supporty kind of, tanky items. I mean, if you're getting like, the ones that come to mind that would be just terrible, maybe like no, you know what, actually, there aren't that. Maybe like a wing bow. If you got a wing bow, I think I'd prefer Staff of the Master. But in the tank range items and the support range items, there's very few that would have been a bit worse than a Staff of the Master. But so we've already talked about him. So more words, and then it looks like you're going for what I'm assuming is maybe a Staff of the Master Slither.
Staff, or to be honest, if it had been a Frostbrand and Frostwolf Skull, that's okay, but not for a support.
Yeah. And even on Slither, I don't love it. I don't hate it.
No, that's why I said it's okay.
But it's certainly not what you should have gotten. Even if you're not going to go support, Geo's Bane would have been better. Staff for non-supporting Slithers, that's okay if you want to go that route. But if you're going like an auto attack carry, Staff is not the option. If you're going like a nuker kind of, like Slither does, I mean, obviously he's not nuking, it's like dot nuke, but you know what I mean, like damage over time nuking. If you're going for that, I'm okay with Staff. I don't love it, but it's okay. And if you're going to get a Staff, for those of you who do buy Staffs, usually the Glowstone is your first item, for the main reason of it gives you a lot of health and mana.
For the price, it's actually pretty efficient.
It gives you more health or more mana, or, it gives you more health or more mana than 10 strength or 10 intelligence, regardless of what your primary stat is, just so we're clear.
The only hero that you would ever always get Staff on is Chipper.
Yeah.
No other hero you ever need one. I mean, you can get one as super luxury for certain heroes, such as Pharaoh.
I kind of like it on Pyro, too, if he gets a really good start, but...
I hate it on Pyro.
Really?
Oh, God, so much. Pyro and Witch Slayer, I can't stand it.
Well, I don't like it on Witch, but...
If you want more nuke damage, then spend 3k on a Codex and do 400 extra magic damage every 40 seconds, rather than 175 extra magic damage every time your ult is off cooldown. It just more money.
You know what? The other hero that I would almost always get it on, not as my first item, but almost always, is Ophelia, because it sends the cooldown from 120 seconds to 30 seconds for a 400 health heal global.
It is powerful. The only reason you don't see people pick it up is because Ophelia needs so many other items. Yeah,
it would probably be either my fourth item or something. I would definitely get it, just not anywhere near the start. But that's kind of different story. Grinnex. So I don't play Grinnex. I've only played him twice, I think. But just based on the kind of hero he is, that's a lot of damage without anything that goes with it. So
no stats, no survivability, no mana regen. It's
both.
a bad build.
I'm fine with his boots. Ghost Marchers on Green X, totally cool. But then he has Shield Breaker, Rift Shards, which are 100% damage items. They don't give anything else other than damage. I mean, obviously they give, their little passive, with the critical strike and the debuff, armor debuff, but they don't give anything for your hero, really, other than damage. It's all 100% damage. It's rare that you would see any hero get 100% damage.
In fact, because he got those 2 items and Ghost Marchers, those were his only items, he had no stats items whatsoever.
Yeah.
He had no plus in agility or strength at all. 0 stats or any damage mitigation. It astonishes me that he didn't feed even more than he did.
Yeah, so the fact that he has no stats, I mean, he was kind of overextending a lot too, but just the fact that he has no stats doesn't surprise me that he has 9 deaths in a 40-minute game. I mean, that's not an incredibly, high amount, but 9 deaths is still a fair amount to say that you died 9 times. So, Grinix, I don't like anything about your build. What I would have liked to see, you could get 1, preferably the Shield Breaker. I wouldn't have gotten it first, though. I would have gotten, you could have gone a number of ways with it. First of all, Mystic Vestments.
Mystic Vestments.
Yeah, Mystic Vestments should have been right after, probably Red Boots. I would have even gotten it before you completed the Phase Boots. Although, considering what lane you were in, I'm okay not getting it if you wanted to get Phase Boots first. Not ecstatic about it, but it's not terrible. And then, you could have gotten Tanky, you could have got, but you don't really
Energizer and a Grave Locket. Cheap stats, nice utility.
Yeah, you could have gone those. Sometimes you'll see people go Frostburn. I don't really like it on Grinix, but, I mean, people do okay with it. You could have... I don't even know what they recommend on Grinix for the #1 build. I've only played him in a long time. But just based on any hero's items, these are not good. So any hero in the game, you would never get Phase Boots into 2 pure damage items. I think these are one of the only 2, or rather 2 of the only pure damage items in the game. But the other ones that come to mind are like Sword of the High into like a Mock, which gives that little dot. But and then like Doombringer and things. And I don't think there are many more after that. But so anyways, bad items on any hero, even on Grinix, still bad. Geomancer, I'm fine. I don't like the spell shards. But the rest,
spell shards.
Yeah, but the rest of it, I'm okay with actually. Mystic Vestments, nice job. You got a ring, totally okay with that. You got Steam Boots.
Good.
Yeah,
Helm's fine. I wouldn't get it. I would go for a portal key after I'd got the Steam Boots and Vestments and ring. You've got enough stats there to have the survivability to jump in with that portal key.
Especially when you think about this team's initiation, they really needed it.
Yeah.
And at the very least, even if you want to get the helm first, fine, get helm and then portal key instead of spell shards. So, there's no reason to get this, which you did get.
Get portal key on Geomancer. You can initiate from 3,000 range.
Yeah. And so you did get some wards. That's nice, I guess. Creep score still low. Your kill to death, 7, 3, and 12. You played fairly passive and fairly well as a player, but, your items was a little bit off. Nomad, I'm okay with that. Love them all.
Yeah, it's fine.
Especially since you went mid. If you go side lane Nomad, first of all, it's a little weird. You don't see side lane Nomad too often, but if you do, obviously the only exception would be the bottle. Don't get the bottle. And maybe the power supply. I'm on the fence on the power supply. You can get it or not get it. It's fine either way. And then Rally, okay, I guess. Yeah. That's about as good. You could have gone a little bit of a different way, but that's fine too. And then Accursed.
It's fine.
Well, so I would say...
I like the Abyssal Skull, and the Frostburn synergizes well with his passive, and Steam Boots are fine. I would get Ghost Marchers on him, but nothing wrong with Steam Boots.
So I would have gotten Ghost Marchers, Abyssal Skull, fine, again, especially on a 5 melee team. That's a good choice. And wards are nice, and then the tube, which I'm assuming is either going to be... Well, I assume it's going to be a helm, actually. Wouldn't really make sense to get a Nullstone. So, probably a helm. Fine with that. I kind of disagree with the Frostburn, though. I think you could have gotten something else for that. That's a 4,400 gold item. That's fairly expensive.
Yeah, but it's not bad on him because of how it works with his passive. He gets more movement speed, and he gets the additional slow, and his passive gives him movement speed and a slow. So it really allows you... you saw him when he was killing Silhouette a couple of times in that game. It really allows you to stay on top of people. It synergizes quite well with the hero. But if he was playing support, probably should have got something else, like a tablet or something.
Yeah.
Or a tablet and most of another support item.
Yeah.
Or, Astrolabe.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would have liked Astrolabe.
The item itself is not bad on that hero, but in that game I wouldn't have got it.
Okay, so I would agree it's not a terrible item. It's an okay item on him. There are certainly worse items you could have gotten, but I would have liked more supporty. So, either way though, the Abyssal Skull, love that. That was a very good item pickup, especially you got that right away. I like it. It's very cheap, and then on top of that, people don't realize that the effectiveness of these percentage items and these aura items increases the earlier you get it because it lasts for a longer period of time, and people don't think about it. Well, they're like, oh, well, so it lasted in that team fight. Okay, big deal. Well, it could have saved a couple of people's lives. It could have ensured more kills that didn't happen, and those can be exponentially increasing. So I like the early game. If you're going to get an Abyssal Skull, I think it should be probably your first item or within your first or second. The only ones I can think of that maybe you might get it late is like sometimes you see Swift Blades pick it up as like their fifth or sixth item or something.
It's a fantastic item in general.
Yeah.
Plus, in an AoE aura for your allies, 15% base damage, 5 armor, a bit of mana regen, 15% lifesteal for melee.
Yeah. The only thing is, I thought, and I could be mistaken, I thought the base damage increase only procs on melee as well.
It's I'm not sure on that. I know the lifesteal does. I'm not sure on the base damage increase.
I could be mistaken, but I'm almost positive that's how it was, unless they've changed it and I hadn't noticed or something. But even if it doesn't, even if it's for the whole team, that's even better. That makes it even better. And it's such a cheap item, too.
Yeah.
2050, that's a fairly cheap item, all things considered. With all that it gives, that's incredible, And on top of that, to, make the item even better, Ring of the Teacher builds into it. So, not only an incredible
best
item
laning
itself,
item in the game.
Yeah, incredible item itself. On top of that, an incredible laning item builds into it. So it's literally almost a flawless item. But other than that, that is all we wanted to talk about. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Any last comments?
No, I think we just about covered it. I mean, we could talk all day about items and stuff as we do, but no, that's about it.
Yeah, okay, so once again, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to, if not, post on the thread. You're welcome to do that. You can post on the video. I read them. I'm not sure if Taddy does, but I certainly read them. So if you have a question for him, I'll pass it along to him if he doesn't read it. Or inbox or any of that, whatever you want to do. Whatever's your preference of choice, I guess. And feel free to submit more replays. We have a couple lined up now. I think I have 2 lined up. But feel free to keep submitting them. We'll get on them ASAP as soon as we can, I guess. And once again, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. So, yeah, that's it. GG, well played, guys. Elfis out.